Yes, dear students, so we start with measures to correct disequilibrium in balance of payments. So, one thing is clear, if we can increase our export and reduce our imports, the disequilibrium can be managed. So, point number one is depreciation. What are we trying to do here? We are basically trying to depreciate the value of rupee. What will happen if we depreciate the value of rupee? Suppose $1 used to be exchanged for 55 rupees earlier, but now it is exchanged for 60 rupees. So this means the money has depreciated. The rupee has depreciated, not money. The rupee has depreciated. Now, since the rupee has depreciated, import will become costly. If import will become costly, of course, import will fall. Simultaneously, exports will become cheaper and hence export would be stimulated. So, dear students, while while the rupee is depreciated, imports are reduced and exports are stimulated. So, government pursues specific economic policy to adjust the balance of payments. What does the government do? They appropriate the exchange rate policy. Next point is devaluation. A country can devalue its currency to wipe out deficit in the balance of payments. Again, this would make imports expensive to domestic consumers and export cheaper in foreign countries. So, if demand and supply elasticities are fairly high, this will definitely lead to a fall in imports and rise in exports, and therefore elimination or reduction of balance of payment deficit. So, more or less, depreciation and devaluation is nearly similar. Import control. So, we know that if we can restrict our import, it is definitely a good sign to correct the disequilibrium in the balance of payments. Now, we are trying to control the imports. So, how can we do that? Through adoption of wide variety of import control measures such as quotas and tariffs. Quotas limit the volume of imports by applying quantitative restriction that you cannot import more than this quantity. So, the government may decide that only 90% of last year's volume of imports can be imported this year. So, this is a sure shot method where the government has put a clear instruction that if last year you had imported, let's say, 1000 kilos, this year you cannot import more than 900 kilos. So, it is absolutely clear that we are reducing the imports by 10%. Now, the whole idea is that we need to control the import. That is what the idea is. So, government can also increase the import duties, which we also call as tariff. If the import duty is increased, again import will become costly. If import will become costly, we will import less. So price will rise with the additional duty, so price will rise. So it is very easy that by applying such methods, government can achieve reduction in imports. If reduction of imports is achieved, the balance of payment deficit is reduced. It is all interrelated. But what is a better option? Quota option are more effective. Okay. Why quota option is more effective than increasing import duty, if you get this question? Because they have direct effect on reducing imports. Quota means, like last year it was whatever you had imported last year, you will not be able to import 80% or 90%. So this is the fixed, you're given a fixed quota. And impact of import duties is indirect through rise in prices. Okay. So it is an indirect method, but when you give a particular quota, it is a sure shot method. So there can be a situation if there is high demand, even if you increase the import duty, maybe still imports are on rise, maybe. So which is a better effective and a sure shot effective manner of controlling import? That would the quota system. So we need to reduce the import, we need to push the export. So the next point is export promotion. So who will promote export? The government has to come up with various schemes. So export promotion by the government. How? The government is giving an incentive of reducing the export duties. So this will encourage the exporters of the country to export more. Secondly, government can give cash assistance and subsidies to the exporters. You export, we will give you certain cash assistance. If you are doing an export, don't worry. We will help you with finance so that you can export more. Thirdly, facilities like quality control, provision of market information, and arranging exhibitions of exportable goods in foreign countries, because government needs to be involved. So now certain exhibitions are being done in foreign countries. This will help in promoting exports. So government is helping in a good way. One more way the government can help is the goods meant for export can be exempted from various taxes as an incentive to exporters. It's not over. We are discussing export promotion. 4 points we have already discussed. The fifth point, export oriented industries may be encouraged. How can the government encourage export oriented industry? How? By providing finances, raw materials, etc., so that cost of production goes down. We had read that if the cost structure of export entities rise, that affects the export. So government has to provide incentives where cost of production is reduced, and hence we can compete. Our Indian players, our Indian manufacturers can now compete in the international market. If they can compete, then that's the spirit. Sixth point is attempts should be made to encourage tourism by attracting foreign tourists so as to earn a large amount of foreign exchange. Well, this point is given under export promotion, but I think this should be a separate point of tourism. Well, good hotels, transport facilities, etc., should be made. So these are basically export promotion efforts which will lead to increase in exports. However, it is not easy to increase exports. The amount of exports depends not only on domestic supply conditions. Okay, we are ready to supply, but there should be proper demand conditions also abroad, over which the home country has no control. We have reduced our cost structure, we have done our part. India is ready, but India was exporting to European countries and let's say European countries are under tremendous recession, so they do not want to buy now, so the demand has fallen, so nothing can be done. So we come to the next point of exchange control. So we are aiming to correct the disequilibrium in the balance of payments, and exchange control or exchange restrictions. The government may try to hold complete control over all dealings in foreign exchange. So this is a big measure. By directing all the exporters to sell their foreign exchange earnings to the central bank and all the importers to buy foreign exchange from the central bank. So this is how government is trying to control the forex market. Foreign exchange is rationed out among the licensed holders for specified commodities who can import these commodities. So now it's a game played by the government. Exchange control rules out the free operation of market forces. So there was earlier free operation, but exchange control means government is playing some role. So now free market forces will not operate. They establish an effective control of the government over the allocation of foreign exchange. So if government is not allocating a foreign exchange, how can you buy? Okay. If the government is successful in the policy of exchange control, it would be able to overcome deficit in balance of payments by selling foreign exchange only to the extent of the export earnings. So basically, you need forex, you need the foreign currency to import. Now government is not giving you that currency because government has taken over the control. Earlier it was a free market. Now you have to purchase the dollar from the government. So if you are an importer, you have to pay in the foreign exchange, you have to pay in dollars. Now you have to purchase the dollar from the government, and dollar is saying no, no, we are not going to give you the dollar now. Why we are not going to give you the dollar? Because we have not exported enough, and we cannot go on importing more and more and more. So government is trying to restrict. If the government does not pay the dollar, how are you going to purchase? It's a simple thing. It would also check the imports of less essential goods like luxuries, because government may provide foreign exchange for imports of only essential goods. Basically you are wanting the foreign exchange, you go to government, give me dollar, I am ready to pay you the rupee. If dollar is 75 rupees and I need 1 lakh dollar, so I am ready to pay 75 lakh rupees to the government, not in the open market, because government is controlling. So government will ask you, okay, you need 1 lakh dollar, what are you going to buy, what are you going to import? The better word is import. So somebody is saying I am going to import a luxurious car. Government will say no, 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 I cannot give you dollar to import a luxurious car. But if you are importing essential goods which will help the people, so government can allow you that. So this is exchange control. However, exchange controls are likely to encourage black marketing in the foreign exchange. So this is a separate thing, because people will be desperate to get the dollar. So people who are selling the dollar to the government, and now you have to buy it from the government. So there will be black marketing, in the sense you are selling at the rate of 75 rupees to government, not to central bank. I am going to pay you 78 rupees or 77 rupees. You don't give to the government, you give it to me. So this is a situation where black marketing of foreign exchange can be started. Point number 6 is production of import substitutes. This is a wonderful point. Basically, Let's say you are trying to import certain oil. Why don't we manufacture that oil in India? And then you realized, oh, we do not have that oil in India. That is the reason why we are importing. Let's say you are trying to import olive oil, but India is good with coconut oil. Then we'll see ki can we increase our production for coconut oil, and which can act as the substitute. So if we stop the import of olive oil and we start the home production of coconut oil, can it balance? So we need to start the production of import substitutes. So first we need to see ki whether what we are trying to import, can we produce the substitute. So if the industries producing import substitutes develop ultimately, because of various incentives provided to these industries, they may turn out to be export earners as well. So it can be a good thing. Reduction in imports, and maybe they become good exporters. This is exactly what we want to do. Point number 7, we come to monetary policy. So what does a monetary policy do? Monetary policy, a tight monetary policy, can be effectively used to reduce expenditure. Now, what will happen when we reduce expenditure? We can correct the deficits in the balance of payments. How? The central bank can reduce the volume of credit. Volume of credit means now the central bank is not giving loans. How? They are giving loans, but people are taking lesser amount of loan. How and why? Because they have increased the rate of finance. They've increased the rate of loan. They've increased the rate of credit. How? By raising the bank rate. Earlier, let's say if they were given a 10%, now banks are charging 12%. So 2% increase will definitely reduce the loan amount. How can this be done? By selling the approved securities in the open market and by raising the cash reserve ratio. We have studied all these in monetary policy. So an increase in interest rates and decrease in its availability of credit will lead to fall in consumption and investment expenditure. So basically they're trying to reduce the money supply. So as it becomes more expensive to borrow money due to increase in interest rate, and as the availability of credit decreases, producers will borrow less and undertake less investment. A decrease in investment will lead to decrease in income. See how it is interrelated, and fall in imports thereby. Since the income is getting decreased, the consumption will also get decreased. The demand will get decreased. Hence, the import is also getting decreased. Monetary policy has emerged as a powerful instrument in many countries in recent years for correcting the deficit in the balance of payments. So I think this is quite clear. Now we come to a next very important point, that is fiscal policy. A restrictive fiscal policy can be successfully used to wipe out the balance of payments deficit. How? By reducing the total expenditure in the economy. So when the total expenditure will be reduced, what will happen? The restrictive fiscal policy is characterized by increase in taxes. Again, basically, if you are left with lesser amount of money, if the tax rate is getting increased and government spending is also getting reduced. So in this way, when government is spending less, ultimately the people in the economy will earn less, because the expenditure of the government is the income of the people. Now just imagine a situation, people are earning less and paying more amount in taxes. Ultimately their savings is getting reduced, the income is getting reduced. An increase in direct tax will reduce the disposable income of the people. Okay, this will lead to a reduction in consumption and decrease in imports thereby, because you are not ready to consume now. So if since you're not ready to consume, of course the import will come down. A cut in government expenditure will have the same effect of reducing demand for imported goods. Since government has reduced its spending, income is also getting reduced. Next point, fiscal policy. Under fiscal policy, we just studied 2 points. Okay, now the third point, a decrease in transfer payments like pensions will usually have an immediate effect on consumption. Since the person benefiting from transfer payments are largely low income groups with high marginal propensity to consume. Now, transfer payments also government is reducing. A decrease in consumption and investment expenditure by the government will also lead to fall in income and fall in imports. So, the whole idea is the income is falling, so imports will automatically fall. Fiscal policy is therefore an efficient means of reducing expenditure and thereby correcting deficit in the balance of payments. In certain instances, there is a room for doubting the efficacy of monetary policy, but there is little doubt about the efficacy of fiscal policy. So you can get this in true and false. There can be some room of doubt in the monetary policy, whether monetary policy will really be helpful or not. But come on, you cannot doubt the effect of fiscal policy at all. So we come to point number 9, that is capital import. So what are we trying to do? We are trying to correct the deficit. We are trying to correct the deficit in trade balance. How? By capital import. Can be corrected in a short run by borrowing capital from individuals and governments of other countries. Since you are deficit, you are under deficit, you need foreign exchange and you don't have. So you simply borrow from other individuals or other government of other countries, as well as borrowing from international financial institutions like World Bank, IMF. Countries like India use the SDR, that is Special Drawing Rights Facility, with IMF to meet the deficit in the balance of payments. So you can be questioned special drawing rights. So these are the special rights which the country has with International Monetary Fund, IMF. So SDR is a sort of international currency issued by IMF which can be used to overcome deficit in balance of payment. A country can also attract short-run private capital from abroad by raising the domestic rate of interest and offering certain tax concession to foreign investors. So foreign investors, you're luring foreign investors. Come on, I'll give you a better tax incentive and I'll give you a better interest rate. Come on, you give me the money. However, this is only a temporary device for reducing deficits in the balance of payments. So dear students, we have completed 9 points and I'm very sure you got the knack of it. Now, foreign exchange rate, I think this is so simple. So you can do the self reading, and in case if you have any doubts, please do ask me. It is simply converting, since now you have the entire concept, so you can easily understand foreign exchange rate. Okay, let me just give you a brief overview. Foreign currencies and claims on them in the form of bank deposit, checks, etc., payable in those currencies is known as foreign exchange. The foreign exchange market is the market where foreign exchange is traded. Exchange rate refers to the rate at which the currencies of different countries are traded or exchanged. So it's very simple, like $1 I want to purchase and I have to give 75 rupees. So $1 is equal to 75 rupees. Exchange rate system, there are two systems, fixed and flexible exchange rate. So when we talk about fixed exchange rate system, in a fixed exchange rate system, the rate of exchange is officially fixed by the central bank of the country by the official action. When there is excess supply of foreign exchange and so when there is excess supply, you sell it, and when there is excess demand of foreign exchange, what do you do? Basically, the central bank buys foreign currencies at the fixed exchange rate, when we are talking about the fixed exchange rate, when there is excess supply of foreign exchange, the central bank will buy the foreign currency and will sell it when there is excess demand for foreign exchange. So basically what the central bank will give a fixed rate and they will trade. However, fixed exchange rate system does not imply that exchange rate remains absolutely fixed. Depending upon the circumstances and state of the economy, the central bank may revise the exchange rate, but the rate of exchange is changed as a policy decision. Most of the countries, including India, had fixed exchange rate against one another from the end of World War II until the decade of 1970s. So fixed means the central bank is playing a role on fixing the rates. But what about the flexible exchange rate? In flexible exchange rate system, exchange rate is left free. Okay, government is not going to intervene, to be determined in the foreign exchange market by the forces of demand and supply. So as per the demand and supply, the rates will fluctuate. In this system, the central bank allows exchange rate to adjust to equate the demand and supply of foreign exchange. Flexible exchange rate is also known as floating exchange rate. So floating exchange rate system can be of two types: clean floating and managed or dirty floating. In a system of clean floating, central bank stands aside completely. It's clean. The central government, the central bank is not playing any role and allows exchange rate to be freely determined in the foreign exchange market. So when we speak about dirty floating, it's quite clear that some role of central bank would be there. So now, what is the concept of depreciation, appreciation, devaluation and revaluation? So depreciation refers to a fall in free market value of domestic currency relative to the currency of other countries in the market of foreign exchange. So depreciation means the value of rupee is falling. Appreciation means a rise in the free market value of domestic currency relative to the currency of other countries. Devaluation and revaluation, they convey the similar changes in the rate of exchange. So basically the term appreciation and depreciation are used when exchange rates are flexible. However, when exchange rates are fixed under the fixed exchange rate system, we use the term devaluation and revaluation to convey similar changes in the rate of exchange. So when it is flexible, we are using appreciation and depreciation. When it is a fixed system, we are using devaluation and revaluation. The revaluation refers to an action undertaken by the central bank to raise the value of domestic currency. Okay. So raise the value means appreciation. So revaluation is equal to appreciation and depreciation is equal to devaluation. So you can just easily understand if it is exchange rate is 55 and if the exchange rate is 60. So what is the difference? So you can just, it's a simple mathematics now. So I think, dear students, rest you just read and it's absolute common sense. Still I am always there. So we come to end of balance of payments. I wish you all the very best. Take care. Bye bye.